Hi everyone, glad to have you back with us. Again, I'm Jason Parisella. This is Jason's in the House. I'm a real estate agent over at Keller Williams Realty in Beverly. We're right over at the Cumming Center. And we talk regularly about any topic about real estate or home ownership and that in general. So tonight we're going to talk to Jim Secondiani, and he is a program consultant with DMB Financial in Beverly. Welcome, Jim. Nice to have you on the show.
Thank you, Jason. Thanks for having me tonight.
Great. So why don't we start by you telling us a little bit about yourself and your company?
Sure, absolutely. DMB Financial is a debt settlement company based in Beverly. And basically what we do is we help people resolve their unsecured debt so that they can move on from their debt and better their financial position down the road.
So how's business these days? I mean, with the economy the way it is and everything we hear, how's everything going?
Yeah, we're pretty busy. We're pretty busy. As you probably see on TV and here on the radio, there's a lot of debt settlement companies out there right now. With the way the economy is and people losing their jobs, it's harder for people to keep up with their debts. So we're pretty busy right now, and we're doing some good work for a lot of people. Now,
I would imagine in this economy also that there's been a lot of new companies that have come into the market in general, or it's just...
Yes, since in about last year or so, there's been a lot of new companies that are popping up. Don't really have a lot of experience settling debt. DMB Financial has been around for about 7 years now, which is pretty old in the debt settlement industry because the industry itself is not too old. I'd say maybe about 10 years, but we've enrolled over 11,000 clients to date and have negotiated off about $90 million of debt for our clients so far.
Wow.
So, we have about 500 local clients, and we have negotiated off about $18 million of debt for those local clients. So we're a national company. We're in 26 states because debt settlement is not allowed in every state, but we're working towards getting in every state.
Now, did the company start in Beverly? Where does it originate from?
We actually started in Middleton and then moved to Beverly a few years back. So,
okay.
Yep.
Great. So you're in how many states did you say?
26 states.
26
yep.
states.
Yep.
Wow.
Again, not every state allows debt settlement. Debt settlement is regulated through state government, so not every state will allow it. And because of different situations, a lot of it is how the fees are paid by the clients and how much companies charge. So.
So if someone calls you, you're working on behalf of the person that calls you.
The client.
So
Correct.
They're your client.
Correct.
So you're going to try to get as much debt off as you possibly can.
Correct.
For that. Okay.
Yes. Our ultimate goal is to have our clients pay back the least amount possible, so that they can, obviously get out of their debt much faster and move on.
Okay. So, I mean, in general, how does a debt settlement program work?
Sure. Basically, if you understand how your credit cards, your minimums due are coming in every month, and as you may or may not know, and a lot of your listeners or viewers will know that credit card companies can raise their rates pretty much anytime they feel like it, and they have been. And so when that happens, your minimums due are higher, and with people losing their jobs and not having the same income coming in, it's harder for them to keep up. And so more and more people are making the minimums due, so it's harder for them to even catch up. So people start to fall behind. They're not able to. They're hurting their credit on their own. So right. What we do is we total up all their unsecured debt and come up with one monthly payment that they can put into the program. And instead of sending the money directly to the creditors every month, you make this one payment into an escrow account. And the payment will accumulate for a few months, and then we can then start the process to contact creditors and negotiate for less.
So when you say it accumulates, so it goes into, is this an escrow account from your company?
No, it's an escrow account. It's basically a savings account in the client's name. It's an FDIC insured savings account. Yeah.
But you guys set the account up.
We do. We set it up for them.
So does it have to stay for a certain amount of time in the escrow account?
Well, the money is automatically debited from their checking or savings account now that they use, and then it's put into that account once a month on a date that they choose.
Okay.
And then as the money accumulates for a short period, again, we can then negotiate the balances and come to terms with, the creditors. Once we come to terms with a creditor, when we come up with the agreement and then the client actually approves it, then we can start withdrawing the funds from that account and start paying back the creditors.
I see. So I heard you say unsecured debt, so somebody that has a mortgage on their house, does that apply? If
No, that's a secured debt.
It's a
Yep,
secured
secured
debt, right.
mortgages, second mortgages, or equity lines of credit, or car payments, things like that.
So that you can't even, so is there a specific law or something that doesn't, you can't, you have to
Well, yeah,
just call the...
they're secured, so if
Right, so
you
you have
take
to
your
call
car
the-
payment, you're going to lose your car. They'll come
Right.
get it. So
you don't deal with that stuff.
correct.
Right.
Yeah, it's mostly credit card debt.
Yeah.
And we do personal loans, personal lines of credit, and we can do business loans as long as they're they're unsecured.
Unsecured, right.
Correct. Yeah. And a lot of our clients are people that have had businesses, and started a business a few years back and funded it with credit cards or loans, and for whatever reason, with the economy and their company may have folded and they're still stuck with the debt. So
Right.
we're helping those kind of people.
Huh. So how does it affect somebody's credit when you actually use your company?
Yeah, good question. When we can negotiate with the creditors, but the creditors are willing to forgive a lot of the debt that you owe. The unfortunate part is that you have to show them a financial hardship, and the financial hardship with a creditor is you're just not making your payments. So if you're current, a lot of our clients are current, but can see the writing on the wall that they just won't be able to keep up with their payments.
Right.
So they'll get into the program, and then they'll have to start falling behind on the accounts so that we can negotiate with the creditors. But a lot of our clients are people that have maybe already have drained their 401ks trying to keep up, any other savings that they may have had, and then just realize that they're not getting anywhere with the debt. So.
Well, it's almost like, we're dealing with real estate now with short sales. It's kind of a precarious situation because the bank's not going to do a short sale.
Right.
They're not going to forgive you for some of the loan balance.
Right.
Unless you start falling behind.
Right.
It sounds like the same type of thing where you're almost, you don't want to tell somebody not to pay their bills, but
right.
if they're paying, then you can't
Sure.
help them.
Right.
So it is going to affect their credit.
It is going to affect
Yeah.
their credit. If you understand your credit score, the two biggest parts of your credit score are 35% of your score is your payments that you make. Are you on time with your payments? The next biggest part is 30% of your score is how much debt you have, which really translates to your debt to income ratio. So where you may be making your payments on time with your creditors, if you have a tremendous amount of debt and your debt to income ratio is off the charts, you're still affecting your credit.
Right.
So we're going to affect the payment history of it, but we're going to fix the debt to income ratio part of it. So people can get future credit afforded to them.
So your program takes into consideration to minimize somebody's, to keep their credit score as high as it possibly can be during this time.
Yeah, well, it's going to go down. I mean,
yeah,
most of our clients don't have perfect credit to begin with because they've already fallen behind.
Right.
But in the beginning, your credit will go down. It's almost like a roller coaster with our program. It goes down in the beginning, more so in the first 3 to 6 months of the program. And then as we start to negotiate the balances on these accounts and they start to pay them back, they're getting rid of that debt, so they're fixing that debt to income ratio.
How long do you usually take? What's your average time that you're with a client?
Yeah, our programs go up to about 4 years. We try to get our clients into a program for 3 years or less, just because we want to help these clients get out of their debt much faster. So,
right.
But our average client is in the program for about 3 years.
So how do you factor in? I mean, obviously, you guys your company has to get paid for their services. How
Sure,
does that all work?
Well, we're paid. We're actually the only company right now in the industry that is paid on performance. So we're paid based on how much money we save our clients. So in debt settlement industry, there's different levels of negotiations with creditors. So if we attack the creditors and get the best settlements for our clients, then we're ultimately saving them the most amount of money. So
right.
everything is paid on. Most of it is paid on how much money we save our clients. But we do have an enrollment fee, which is included in the monthly payment. So we kind of wrap it all into the program.
So what's kind of the median or the average somebody comes to you, how much what's the average amount that they owe?
Good question.
Unsecured debt.
In Massachusetts, actually, our average client has about $38,000 of debt. I think.
And it's taken 4 years to, well, I mean, if someone has $38,000 worth of debt, how much do they actually end up paying?
Yep.
And it takes 4 years to pay it off, correct?
Sure.
Somewhere
Well,
around,
that's
right.
yeah. Our programs go up to
average?
4 years,
Yeah.
but we'll probably get them out closer to 3 years. Our average client will pay back about half.
About half of 38?
About half.
Huh.
And that usually includes our fee too. When you factor in our fee, they're usually paying back about half. So we do pretty well for our clients. We can get them out of their debt pretty quickly. But you know, as they say, it's not all wine and roses. There are, you know.
I mean, obviously, too, I'm just thinking to myself, well, why wouldn't somebody just run up their credit cards and then just call you up and say,
Sure.
I need to get out of this, and
Yep.
then do it again? I mean, you know, it's almost like, obviously, the credit's an issue.
Sure. Yeah, it is.
But, I mean, there's got to be some other, it sounds almost too easy to do it.
It does. Yeah. You know, and there are
certain
certain
$20,000.
Yeah, there are certain restrictions on it. I mean, if all the debt you have is cash advances, you know, the creditors are not really, you know, it's going to be hard for you to negotiate those balances.
Right.
So, you know, we have a screening process. We have an application process too. We want to know all the creditors that you have, what the balances are, you know, and kind of go through that process, because the last thing we want to do is take on a client, and if we can't really help them, then it doesn't help us and it doesn't help them. So.
Yeah, I mean, you hear these commercials on TV, and I always wondered myself, I never really paid attention to them, but it almost seems, you know, almost like one of these, you know, call us up, we'll help you with your debt. You kind of wonder what's really going on.
Sure.
So is there some things to watch out for?
Yeah, there are. But like I said, we're one of the only companies in the industry that actually is paid on performance. So most of the companies take a percentage of the total debt that you have, and those companies take all their fees up front before they really do much work.
Oh, wow, yes.
So it can take a really long time for those clients to see any results. Because we're performance-based, we want to work quickly to get these settlements done, because obviously we want to get paid and we want our clients to get out of the debt.
So
give them the minimum amount of risk.
So you won't get your company doesn't get paid until there's some type of money that's saved, and you're going to get a percentage of that amount.
Correct. Yeah,
Well, that sounds like a much better plan.
Right.
Yeah.
It's we do have an enrollment fee, which is just, again, a smaller fee compared to the overall money that we save our clients. But we are paid on an account by account basis. So if we settle that account, we'll get our fee from that. But and so if for whatever reason we don't settle other accounts, then we don't get paid on those accounts. So it's really the best way to work. If you know, we kind of always equate it to, you know, if you want to have somebody paint your home, or you have a landscaper come to your house, you want to pay them up front,
Right.
and then have them do the work, and you want to pay them as they're going along.
As they go along, yeah,
correct.
yeah. Interesting. So we talked about how long your programs are, how much money you typically save your clients. You don't do the mortgages or car loans. Let's touch a little bit to make sure people understand the difference between secured and unsecured.
Mm-hmm. Secured debt, mortgage, car payments, things we can't negotiate. If you have a repossession, unfortunately, if you had someone come take your car because you couldn't afford, we can take that balance that you owe the creditor at that point and negotiate that, because you don't have the car any longer.
Oh, I see. Okay.
We can do some major medical bills. If you had a major surgery and there's a bill, typically our debts we'll take on are $1,000 or more balances.
I see.
And again, credit cards, personal loans, business lines of credit, anything that's really unsecured.
So generally on a business line of credit, I mean, they're secured with at least the assets of the company, I mean, the furniture, and so you're finding.
Yeah, not always.
Yeah,
well, a lot of times, business lines of credit or business loans are actually under the owner's social security number.
Oh, okay.
So we, you know, usually when that is,
it's basically almost a personal loan.
they're personally liable for it. So,
they personally
but it's still
guarantee it. Yeah.
right. It's still an unsecured debt.
Yeah.
You know, there are small or certain situations where people do have a short sale. If they do have that short sale, once that goes through, that then becomes an unsecured debt. And we could negotiate that with, you know, a lender. But a lot of our clients are people, you know, trying to buy houses from people like yourself.
Right.
You know, try to get mortgages, but they just they can't afford it, or they're not getting afforded the loans because they just have too much debt. So this is where we can step in and try to speed up that process.
How long, if someone came to you and they owe $10,000 credit card debt,
Mm-hmm.
and they want to buy a house, but the ratios aren't working, is it going to take maybe 3 years for them to kind of turn it around, or can you do things that are helping people to get into homes quicker?
Sure. Oh yeah. Everything. It depends on how much you can afford to put in. The more you can put in, either on a monthly basis, or if you have money, available that you can tap into, we can resolve those debts in a very short time frame. So usually, if you're current and you had a whole bunch of money that you could put in, we could resolve a lot of that debt within 6 months and get them back on their feet.
So how are people finding out about your company? I mean, how are you getting most of your clients?
A lot of our clients actually are referrals. We do a lot of referral work, and we actually pay people for referrals to send them our way.
Oh, great.
But a lot of it is, we send a lot of postcards out. We do a lot of mailings. We did a short stint on some advertising on TV and radio. But as you know, it's costly to do that.
Right.
So a lot of it is mailings. We used to work with the credit bureaus to find out who, to market to people that may have had a drop in their credit score and may need some help. So
I'm thinking to myself too, while all this is going on, you're negotiating. The credit card companies are hiring somebody to go after the collection agencies.
Correct.
Right? So they're probably getting all these calls, and that's maybe why it's prompting them to call a company like yours.
Correct, yes.
Because they're getting harassed by
if they've already started to fall
yeah.
behind on their own, that may motivate them to call us. Some people can just really see the big picture and just can't continue to afford the minimums due anymore. And with the increase of rates as of late, it makes it even harder. So, the credit card companies will have a collection agency step in, usually anywhere from the 4th to the 6th month of being delinquent.
Yeah.
And then usually after 6 months, they'll charge off your account to either a collection agency or a law office, and then let them try to collect it.
Right. So, what was I going to say? What's the most? So, credit cards is the most common.
It is. Yes.
Now, are there certain companies that you find that you're dealing with on a regular basis?
We do. Yes.
I mean, is it generally like, I don't know, Citibank or banks, or is it more like, Jordan Marsh cards and Home Depot cards?
Yeah, we can do all
that?
of them.
But what do you find? What companies are you dealing with the most?
Usually the major lenders. Bank of America is huge.
They have
Citibank,
yeah.
Chase. Then you have your Wachovias. People that used to have Washington Mutual now folded into Chase. So all the major lenders, all the major
Right.
banks. We can also do, store cards, Lowe's, Home Depot, JCPenney, Macy's. So most of those creditors.
So you
we can
talking
work
to the
with.
same people on a regular basis? I don't know. Do you actually negotiate the settlements?
I don't myself.
Okay,
We have a settlement department.
Yeah.
What we call a settlement department, and they our clients, when they enroll into our program, they basically have a team of 3 people that work for them. Myself to help them get into the program and explain everything to them. Then the person actually negotiates all the debts for them.
Right.
These are trained negotiators. They're called settlement consultants, and they contact the creditors and good old-fashioned haggling and tell them that our clients are in a financial hardship and can't pay, and we want to resolve the debt.
How long does it usually take for them to start giving in, the credit card companies?
Usually you have to
They
be about.
they probably hear the same thing.
Yeah.
Same story.
They do. But
they have their own. They must have their own. It's like an insurance company. They know the percentage of people they're going to call and say there's a hardship and how
Sure.
much money. They must have it all figured out on their end too.
They do.
To an
They
extent,
do
yeah.
some research on you too to see
Yeah.
what you have for assets. If you have a lot of debt and you're just trying to get out of the debt, but you have a lot of assets, well, they may not like that too much. So,
Right.
Generally, our clients are people that have no equity in their homes left, are mortgaged out, and have already used all their savings to try to keep up. You just can't do it anymore. So
Yeah, so that brings you to like I was saying before, if you have money in the bank and you just feel like not paying your credit cards and calling you up,
Right.
you're going to have the argument, they're probably going to tell you, we're not going to forgive anything.
Yeah, we do have people that do have the money, can pay. but are just really angry at creditors for raising their
Right.
rates. So, we can take those clients on. We just, you have to be very careful. But, but those people, because they do have the money, they usually end up paying the debt off pretty quickly after we negotiate, which again gets them to a position where they can, better their credit score and just get out of the debt so they can stop paying creditors.
So you come up with so just say somebody has 10 credit. Well, I don't know. What's the average amount of credit cards somebody has? Do you know what it is?
The average is probably 6 or 7.
So someone has 7 credit cards, and you're negotiating a payment. And what happens? So say it's, I don't know what it is, $500 a month, and that gets split between 7 credit cards. Is it kind of an even split? Is that
well,
how it
no,
works,
we don't take it out and then divide it into the creditor to each creditor. Again, the minimum payments are not being paid, so it all goes into the escrow account.
And then so how do they get paid? The creditors?
They'll get paid from that. We'll automatically transfer the money to a creditor.
So you're negotiating a monthly payment per creditor?
Yeah, I can give you an example how it works. If you have a $5,000 credit card, and let's say we negotiated it down to $2,000. Well, when we negotiate that with a creditor, we'll get it sent back to us in their, in their letterhead, stating that, okay, Joe Smith owed $5,000. We'll accept $2,000. We'll settle for $2,000, and the $2,000 will be paid back over so many months, and we may have, 10 payments of $200, and on the 25th of each month, we're accepting $200. So, and we'll be responsible for taking the money out of that savings account and transferring it to the creditor.
So they're just dealing with you. They're
Correct.
writing the letter to your company.
Correct.
On
Yes.
behalf of the client.
Yes.
Okay.
We negotiate. We do all the negotiating for them, set up the terms, but ultimately the client has to approve the deal.
Right.
And then once they approve it, we'll go back to the creditor and tell them they accepted it, and then we can go ahead and start paying it back.
Huh.
So,
Okay.
and then everything will come right out of that escrow account. So it's pretty seamless for the client. They just really, all we want them to do is focus on, focus on their home life. Just make your monthly payment, and we'll,
So these
hopefully take care of
credit
the rest.
cards, I mean, you have to be really careful with them.
Yeah, you
people-
do. It's
It's just so easy. It seems so easy to.
I've heard
People you just open up a credit card company. You go to Home Depot, or whatever, or you go to whatever, and they want you to 10% off on your
Yes.
first sale, and you.
That's
whatever.
what they want
It's so
you to
easy
do.
Yeah.
Yeah, they suck you right in. It's a lot of times it's 0%.
Right.
And then most people don't read the fine print.
I think people may get confused too on if you're paying your minimum, you're going backwards.
You are, yeah, most of the time. If you have a
Right?
high
I
interest
mean,
rate,
you're pretty much, because you're paying, I don't know what you call it, reverse amortization or whatever it is, that way you're paying less than what the next month you actually owe more just by making that monthly payment.
Right, exactly. That's what the creditors want you to do. They want you to make that minimum payment, because that minimum payment isn't covering, it's only really covering finance charges, and very little of it is actually going to the principal balance. So
Right.
mostly if you have an interest rate of 13 to 15% and you send just the minimums in, it usually calculates to about 28 years to pay off that debt.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. I don't think people maybe really get that, or they don't think about it. Not
Right.
that they would, that they wouldn't get it, but they don't think about that part of it.
Right.
I'm just paying my minimum and I'll pay it off.
They're a very dangerous thing, and
It's
part
really-
of our job is to educate people on, credit cards and how they really work, and really come up with a plan for you to pay off your debt. And then once you're out of your debt,
So you-
stay out of debt.
Right.
And we'll go over your budget with you. Go over maybe some expenses where you may be able to cut back and show them where they can save a little bit of money on.
I think
other
that's a great
expenses.
piece of it, to make sure you're educating people to, like you said, you help them to get out of debt, and then to make sure they don't get back into debt if the same thing happens to them.
Yes, and I've heard
So-
many stories, many different hardships, and I feel bad for a lot of these people. It's just circumstances beyond their control.
Right.
Lost jobs, death in the family, you
Must be a
name
lot
it.
of, I'm thinking divorce.
Divorce is very big,
These
sure.
credit cards are probably in both names, and
Sure.
all
We
that
have a lot
stuff.
of clients that the spouse doesn't know about the debt, so that makes it
They're
even
opening
more
up these,
tricky.
they're going shopping. And they're
Sure,
opening up all these cards, yeah.
And we've had people that
So
had-
you're working with people that they don't even know that they're actually, maybe the spouse doesn't know that they've called you.
right,
Yeah.
yeah, which you know, puts us in an awkward position too.
Right.
But, you know, ultimately they got the debt, and we're trying to help them get out of it, and,
Right.
and get them to see that there isn't really a way, any other way for them to. They'll eventually find out at some point.
Yeah.
But we have a lot of clients that, you know, may have lost their jobs and have a lot of credit available on credit cards and are paying their mortgages on their credit cards, which is,
Oh,
I know
wow.
sounds crazy, but, you know, when you have a 20 or 30% interest rate and you're paying your $2,000 mortgage, you know, it's amazing. So you feel bad for these people, but,
Unbelievable, yeah.
you know, so stay out of that credit card debt, folks.
Right, I know my credit card company, you know, they send you those checks. And
Cash
they just,
advances,
you know,
yeah.
they just send you a blank check. So
That's the
it's
biggest,
easy to just
yeah.
to write out a check and think that, oh, I can write out a check, I didn't know that.
Sure.
And it's a cash advance.
It's a
and
cash
you have all that
advance.
stuff that goes along with it.
Which is also harder for us to negotiate because, you know, it's almost like stealing.
Right.
You know, you're taking a whole bunch of cash out, and now you only want to pay back, you know, a portion of it. So,
Yeah.
but it's, you know, it's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Couple minutes left. Let's see. Can people continue to use their credit cards while they're on your plan?
No, these cards they put into the program, they'll eventually be closed. You know, eventually creditors will offer you more credit cards, and obviously we want people to be careful on those taking more debt, you know, more credit cards out. So.
Right. And the difference between your company and the ones that you, like I mentioned before, the ads on the TV, or so you're getting paid per a percentage of what you save the client.
Save the client, correct, as opposed to a percentage of your total debt. And we're also in Forbes magazine in April's issue as one of the top 10 debt and credit professional companies in the industry. And we're also monitored by a company, an organization that's called TASC, that's the Association of Settlement Companies. And this organization will watch over the companies to make sure that they're not misleading or lying to clients. And we're an accredited member. We're one of only 30 companies in the industry that's accredited with this organization.
Oh, that's
So.
great, because I think you get kind of a, you know, like I said before, gee, you know, what's really happening with these.
Right.
But it's great you're a local company, you have all this backing behind you, and to have
Yes.
that credentials is good.
Yeah, you have to do your homework. You know,
Yeah.
you have to make sure you're with a solid company.
Yeah. Real quick, what's the craziest situation you've ever seen?
We've seen a doctor in Boston. I think he had about over $1 million of unsecured debt. I don't think he ultimately became a client. I just think he wanted to go on our alternative route, which usually is bankruptcy.
Yeah.
We're usually preventing people from filing bankruptcy, so because that's probably the next step. So,
Right.
But we've seen over $1 million of debt.
Now, did you end up wiping the slate clean with him?
He actually didn't become a client. I think he
Oh,
was
I
going
see. So
to
he-
go to bankruptcy route because it was just
Yeah.
an easier route for him to go.
Wow.
But we've seen a lot. Every day we hear people that have 100,000 plus of debt.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up, how would people contact you if they'd like to
Sure.
talk further about your services?
Sure. Yeah. We have two numbers. We have a local number, 978-338-2300. We have an 800 number at 866-865-6959. We're at 152 Conant Street in Beverly, diagonally across from Cherry Hill Creamery there. And you know, we're more than welcome to meet with clients. They can come in to our facility and check us out and you know,
So
do a free consultation.
are you in that new office building?
We're the one
Off the
next
highway?
to
The
it.
next one, yeah,
Yep.
okay.
We're the one next to it.
Great.
Correct.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Jim. We're glad to have you, and very
you.
informative.
Yeah. Thank you, Jason. Thanks for having me.
Good. So before we close, I just want to thank you again for joining us at Jason's in the House. If you have any questions or comments or want to be a guest on the show, feel free to contact me at 978-927-6030, or you can visit my website at www.jasonparisellateam.com. Thank you to BevCam, and we look forward to seeing you on our next show. Good night.